No pressure, but Marta is the subject matter expert today. Welcome, Marta.
Hello. It's great to be here, but I'm not sure about if I'm the actual expert, but okay, I'll do my best.
I think you are to a certain extent. So, welcome to our Let the Tech Out podcast second episode with a guest. And our guest today is Marta Królikowska,
Hello.
who's a senior IT project manager and team lead at Attention, where she had a chance to bring into play her educational background in art history. Because Marta, you are educated in art history and you also specialized as an art critic, right?
Correct. Yes. And that's still my passion, to be honest.
We both graduated from art history, but Marta specializes in contemporary art, while I focused on 18th century Brazilian architecture and urbanism. So two different worlds.
Absolutely different. And I have to admit that right now I kind of miss the architecture perspective. And we did not have a chance to actually have a proper critic on architecture. So that's something that, could be interesting. And it would be great to actually learn a little bit better how you can have a, critic perspective on what is surrounding you and what kind of buildings are created and, how the architecture actually shapes our world. But that's totally different subject.
That is different subject, and we'll make a note about this, include maybe a subject matter expert on architecture and urbanism, because the tissue of the city is something that is really close to humans. But you, on the other hand, focused on high art.
Well, architecture is high, can be high as well. but yeah, true. I specialized in contemporary art, more in like visual arts, meaning painting, sculpture, media, digital art, any kind of like you would call this visual arts in general.
And it all brought you to the IT world, where you kind of connected both.
Yeah, so I have two stories. The official one that is a nice story that is a smooth path through the art history to the IT world. And it's an official story that I've been telling at different job interviews. But I can spare you this part, and I can say upfront that I reached a point in art history when I was working in the field that I seriously did not see any progress, and I could not think of a place where I could actually develop myself and be successful, not only through like fulfilling my passion, but also like at least independent from the financial perspective. And I guess you know what I mean, like culture industry in general, it's not really an industry. It's run on passion, and it's run on the assumption that all people working for the culture will actually sacrifice themselves and sacrifice their free time to work overtime, to work on weekends, to basically just lose any work-life balance. And to be honest, I didn't want that anymore. And I actually found myself in a place that I would have to move to Switzerland to continue my career and to continue the contract that I had, because my main employer back then, and ArtStation Foundation I have in mind, was moving to Switzerland for good. And I was a little bit hesitant with, okay, what is waiting for me up there, what kind of new responsibilities I would have to take. I have to say that also my employer had like a very clear vision on where they want to go and what kind of, profile they need. And it was like a perfect starting moment, like a new entry to a completely different way of looking at my career and what I can do with my skills. So firstly, I was pretty sure that I would be good at marketing because I had this idea that marketing demands creativity, it demands, open minds when it comes to the content, different campaigns, and so on. So I was pretty sure that my first position as a project manager is actually as a project manager for marketing campaigns. But it turned out that I landed as an IT project manager. And I was really surprised that my first day in my new job was not all about creative content and, preparing the marketing campaigns. It was all about very heavy development stuff. So you might say that it was a big misunderstanding at the first point.
How did you feel then at the very beginning when you landed in this totally new world and you needed to kind of jump quickly straight to, to be working with your teams?
I was overwhelmed for sure. I was super stressed. I was sure that I'm the last one invited to the party, and I have no idea what kind of language they're using. So it was a very intense 2 months, I would say, of adjusting to the completely different industry way of working. But at the same time, I knew that it's also a different industry in terms of how you treat the employees and how you actually value their work and what kind of things you can do when employees are, in a good mental state, when they are actually praised for their work. It was a completely different, approach to relationship between employees and your boss.
And that was the time when you already started working with your development team on the art platform, or
no, it was a different.
Did it come later?
Yeah, it actually came later because it was a different company. I changed the jobs and I moved from one software house to another one. And the one that I'm currently working for is running this kind of projects. And it was one of the actually reasons why I wanted to work with them.
Mm-hmm. Because of this project.
Of this project, yeah.
Great. So we're actually getting closer to like the peak question of our conversation to also start talking about the contemporary art and IT and how to join these words together. So the question you gave me and Tisha before our conversation was, can we actually connect the exclusive world of contemporary art with the internet's accessibility? And you smiled and you already started talking about how the world of contemporary art looks like. And the reason for this was that you said these two are linked very closely, because that's very often with many things, that the offline world shapes the online world. So before we even get to how is selling and buying contemporary art, how it looks like online, can you tell us a few words about how it looks like in real world so that we can transpose it to online?
I wouldn't say that online world is completely shaped by the offline. I guess at some point it took totally different paths, but the offline contemporary art world is very much relationship based. It's all about who knows who. If you enter as a gallerist, you have to have a like established connection with the collectors, with artists. If you're an artist, you have to have like at least one gallerist that you know that could push your career further. If you're a collector, you also need to know someone who will give you the entrance, who will introduce you to artists and gallerists. If you work in cultural institutions, it's actually the same. You cannot be an outsider. So it's all very relationship based. And there are, I would say, different circles that you can develop and that you can be part of. There's, of course, this like super high luxurious art that is run by mega gallerists that are celebrities, and they're making their artists celebrities as well. You have also the gallerist that actually operates on a different level, that maybe are not super eager to perform and display their art, their artists on mega art fairs like Art Basel, but they are well known in their established communities. But it's all, like the communities. It's all about, as I said, who knows who. And this is also the way the art market works. So you cannot just enter any gallery that you find on your way, I don't know, from work to home and say, okay, I'm going to buy this art because I have, I don't know, 100,000 on me and I just want it in my home. You will be scanned. You will be checked if you are worth enough to actually possess this kind of art piece. You will go through different interviews. You will have to prove that this art piece will not land in the void. It will be part of the collection that has some kind of a character. It will be part of upcoming exhibitions in different institutions. So you cannot be a client that buys any kind of product. You have to be well respected to actually be accepted by the gallerist and by the artist.
Yeah, this can be quite intimidating. I remember once after the exhibition, when you worked at the gallery in our city in Łódź, I wanted to purchase one work of art.
Okay.
But I was so intimidated. I knew that you wouldn't make a fuss, or the gallery owner, but it's like, where would I hang it? It's not like $1 million work, but I will destroy it. It's like adopting a living creature. It was really a bummer for me, and I totally aborted this plan just because it was like, wow, it's art.
I admit that it is intimidating, and to be honest, I understand why it is so, but I don't like it. And I was part of it at some extent, but I'm not saying it's good. At the same time, I'm in favor of art being accessible for everyone. So, for example, having street art, having Banksy everywhere around the world, that's great. And having a print or a super nice poster of a film that you love somewhere hanged on your wall, that's also great. I mean, there are different communities, there are different circles of the contemporary art that you can, circle in. And you don't have to be part of that super luxurious few millions of pounds or dollars or euros, whatever, per piece part of the society. You can also be the collector of, very accessible and kind of more democratic type of art that is not looking, down on you when you're trying to actually purchase a piece.
Because I think another issue is, and I saw somewhere some discussions online around the transparency of prices for both the buyers, of course, but also the artists, that the galleries then, take a percentage from the price. They also take a certain percentage of the tickets from the exhibitions. And sometimes I've heard that it might be like even 50 or 60%. So that's crazy.
I mean, it's a standard for galleries to take 50% of the price that was given for a piece. It's a standard, but then again, you have to understand what kind of work the galleries do. And it's a crazy amount of work that is done on behalf of the artist to actually support their career, to support their visibility across the market, to support basically the whole development. So the 50% in that case is no longer such a crazy rate. But it's true that online, the only visibility to the prices that we have are the prices listed by the auction houses. And it is kind of changing because there are new platforms that are not auction houses per se. They are like online platforms for different galleries as like e-commerce markets to showcase the artists that are represented by specific galleries. At least from my perspective, this is a new value. This is a new the trend online to have those prices transparent and to see that certain artists can go up or go down if you are really interested in, putting a value, like a financial value of the art. But I have a problem with prices when it comes to the auction houses because there are different parts of that price and it's not necessarily the price that was paid. There are different additions to that price, margins, auction house rates. There is, of course, some kind of a minimum price that has to be paid and is set by the seller. But there are situations, I don't want to say that it's, Christie's or Sotheby's, but for smaller auction houses, it is possible that the actual price that is listed as a result of the auction was never paid because it was, for example, provided by the gallerist who was supporting his own artist, who's representing the artist. These kind of things are happening all the time, that the gallerists go to the auction, bid for the art pieces produced by their artist just to, make the prices go up, to maintain the value of the artist on the market. This kind of, it's normal. I mean, the transparency of the prices do not give you the actual, vision of
picture.
So even if we have right now all the catalogs and online prices tags, it still works like patrons of the previous centuries, but like modern ones that it all involves politics and economical calculations and it's pure math.
Yeah, it's all the matter of interest. Like if I represent an artist and I know that their, his, her, their, whatever piece will be on the auction, in my interest is that this piece is sold for the maximum possible price. And since I'm not a persona non grata on these kind of auctions, I can go there and bid for the artist on behalf of the artist, on behalf of my own gallery, or even sometimes on behalf of the collectors, which is even more, it's totally like bollocks. It's super crazy. It happened actually for Andy Warhol. I guess it was like super spotlighted auction when they sold Marilyn Monroe piece for like almost, I guess, $200 million. But the bid was actually placed by the Larry Gagosian, who is the gallerist representing the collector. But at the same time, Larry Gagosian is representing one of the foundation that is running the Andy Warhol collection. That's like a mastermind of the art world. Larry Gagosian is one of the enfants terribles, you might say, of how you run the business on behalf of different stakeholders, just so you make, your wealthy clients more wealthy and your artist more in demand.
So now I'm thinking, is it actually possible to then put this whole contemporary art and selling and buying situation into the internet where you have e-commerce and you cannot just go to a platform where you have set prices, you click buy and then you get it. Do you think this is possible?
At the same time, we have this startup called Masterworks, where you have the illusion of investing in high art and monitoring the trends, and that you are this cutting edge investor, very smart, that secures your money. And other specialists take care of the finance and art curation. It is an example of democratic patronage, being a patron of 1% of Andy Warhol's Mona Lisa.
Oh, so I mean, it all depends how you look on your collection and how you look on your relation with art. If you are there only to invest your money, this kind of services might be for you. And you have, specialists, you have consultants that will help you to pick the right piece to make your investment reasonable in general. But then why you pick art? Investing in art means that you are slightly interested in it. Maybe that's my romantic vision of people that are actually buying art piece. You are not treating this as a piece of gold. It's not like you're investing in cryptocurrency. Although you can actually invest in NFT and that's your cryptocurrency in art world. But for me, it's absolutely the same. You don't care about art. You just care about the profit. And I don't really understand the reasons behind making an effort, looking for a consultant, looking for advisors in art world, and investing in that kind of vague, not really transparent, not really well balanced art world. You need to understand at least the ground rules to feel safe in putting big money in it. I know there are people like this. I know that people are investing in NFT and maybe they're making a big money out of it, but they're not in it for art, for sure.
Mm-hmm. So, Marta, can you just briefly explain to our listeners what NFT art is?
Yeah, sure. So NFT is like a digital asset that you can buy online and be the sole owner of one piece of the art. It's basically run and set through blockchain. So it seems to be super safe, super secure. You've got your certification of purchase and you have your documents stating that you own a piece of art that is not physical. It doesn't have to be physical object. It can be just a digital asset. And of course, even super celebrity artists started playing with it and exploring the option of focusing more on digital parts, on producing specific assets that could be bought online. And I feel that it died as soon as it appeared. Even the hugely successful and super famous Damien Hirst that invested in NFT, I believe he decided that after all, it's not really worth it. There are many critics focusing on the fact that NFT is very bad for the environment. It's not ecological because producing this kind of amount of data that is needed to actually have the circulation of the NFT is crazy. So it's not about, we're not producing unnecessary objects. We're not using materials to create something that will be stored in warehouses. It's not the reason why NFT is actually brought to life. It's just an investment like any other cryptocurrency.
If I remember correctly, the hype on NFT art started with the spectacular purchase of Beeple Crab's NFT art. And that's kind of interesting because Beeple is widely known for his politically and socially engaged daily posts on Instagram, which brought this sense that NFT might be this democratic field of art, of digital art. But at one point, anything could be NFT. And again, the definition of art, of what is NFT worth, just got dissolved into the market.
And it's also what you mean by, democratic access to the art. Is it free access to museums like Free Sunday, or making the collections public and more accessible? Is it the digitalization of the art so that you don't even have to leave your home to look at beautiful paintings and visit Louvre, for example? Is it the transparency of the prices and the access to artists worldwide through different social media? There's different way of understanding how art can be actually a democratic platform. Is it actually a platform where you can speak your mind, and it's a place, maybe art is a place, where you can freely debate. And this is part of the internet and social media platforms that, well, in ideal utopia world would be this kind of opportunity. So yeah, there are different ways of looking at it. But since we already touched the social media and the access to artists worldwide, maybe there's like a new tendency when artists could actually skip the middleman being the gallerist, and they can run their career on their own because they have access to different digital platforms, and they can actually curate their own career on Instagram, for example, which made me think actually that, well, yeah, it's a great opportunity. Let's just kill the gallerist. We don't need him. We can take and control the narrative of our artistic career. Fantastic. But then what happens? You are your own manager, which sounds great. You don't have your boss. You don't have the galleries that will tell you you have a deadline in 1 month because there's exhibition coming up. You don't have the galleries telling you, well, please produce more still lifes because this is in demand right now and I have 4 collectors waiting for it. Great. But then you have to think about these kind of things on your own. You have to organize it for yourself. You have to know who you want to contact and how to get them to actually move to the different level of your career. But maybe you're good with it. I mean, maybe you can curate your career on Instagram and sell prints for, 100 zlotys, and you're fine. That's also possible.
Yeah, But that was exactly what I was thinking. Like, there was, even one artist from the UK, and like he had this like whole manifest of just leave the galleries, be your own boss, you can control everything. And he started explaining like, okay, so I have this website and my prices are transparent and everything is also on my social media. And then also on YouTube, you can see how each painting has been created, and it's great. But at the same time, I was thinking, okay, how much time it actually takes. I mean, it's another full-time job, I think,
Of course.
to take care of it.
And you miss the perceived labor bias that is also present in all the websites, galleries, museums, that you need to work your way up in the information architecture tree to actually access the painting, to make a purchase request.
Yeah.
And that adds up the value of the artwork or any other object in e-commerce, basically.
Yeah, so I believe the social media managers already taught us that it's a full-time job, and it is a role and it is a job for a reason. And if you want to be a successful artist and focus on your creative process, you cannot think about the fact that your website needs to be updated at the same time. You cannot think that, okay, I have to do the photo shooting in my studio and order a photographer and have their potentially my buyer, because it's a great opportunity for them to visit the studio. Maybe they will buy something, and these kind of things are run by the gallerist and they are organized by the gallerist. And you don't have to think about, organizing everything that is around the work that you produce as an artist. And that's why I said there is a reason why galleries take 50% of the price of each object that is sold, because it's the investment in publications. It's an investment in organizing the whole communication channels, giving you the access to collectors and so on. So sure, you can go solo, you can cut the middleman, but then you have to do the work on your own.
And in my mind, it clashes with all the artistic flow and lifestyle.
But then, okay, well, I guess if you're a beginning artist, then obviously you don't have so many connections to be able to get yourself to the gallery, etc. So you need to start somewhere, right? I have some friends who are on Instagram, Etsy, all these platforms that you have basically everything. But I don't know, do you think that's the place you can somewhat start?
And now it's the question, like, how much online can imitate the offline? And it turns out that, well, not in every aspect. It's really hard to start your career only by your visibility online, because what doesn't matter that I have my own website? Someone has to actually see that. Well, of course, I can invest a lot of money in Google Ads, but do I, set the audience target correctly? Again, I'm my own manager, so I don't know that. I can create my own profile and account on Artsy, on Artnet, on all different platforms that are open for artists. You don't have to have a gallery that represents you. But then what? I mean, you need to have someone that stands behind you. Unfortunately, you need to have, you need to be represented by someone to actually get through the crowd and, the whole noise. And I guess it still happens offline. You still start with your gallerist, with the first person who noticed you at the diploma show. You still start maybe with the first journalist that will write an article about you. And then through that article, you will maybe be noticed by the gallerist. It still happens very much offline, I guess. At least I cannot name any artist who started as a self-made man online. But maybe, I'm not really up to date.
Perhaps, but I guess internet and digital world is whole another medium and another business model, and you need to be true with yourself and agree to another level of revenue and publicity and visibility in the art world. Totally different audience.
Yeah, online presence is still very, very important. And you cannot just, I wouldn't say even avoid, but you cannot fool yourself that offline world is everything. Of course, if you're a super established, well-known artist, it really doesn't matter if you have your website up to date and if you have a profile on Artsy. If you're Andy Warhol, you really don't give a flying, But currently, if you really want to reach a wide audience, online presence is also very important. But it's not the first thing that you start with, I guess. You can start with it, but then you need to find your ground and you need to find your representative in the offline world as well, because this is the place where magic happens, when the whole connections are. This is, the corner of the gallery when the gallerist speaks with the collector and with the museum representative about including your piece in the next retrospective show. This is the place where all of the important players are still operating on daily basis.
So I think this is going to be the last question from the other perspective of the buyer. So if I'm not in the art world, if I wanted to buy a painting, does it also come to me that I need to, attend some gallery events, get myself into this world before I can, get the painting?
So let me ask you this: why you want this painting? Like, if you want this painting because you like it and because you really want to spend time with it, then it really doesn't matter if you buy it off or online. If you like it and if it appeals to you for any reason, you just buy it and maybe you will start a collection with it. Maybe it's just be this one piece. But the main reason is that something just caught your attention. If you want to buy a painting because it's the start of the collection and you know that you are in it because you want to continue that, then I would rather say that it would be great to have a consultant, an advisor, or just galleries that will develop with time a friendship with you and actually be able to support you with your decisions, with your choices, with, building a character of your collection. And this kind of people you will meet rather offline than online. If you are in it to invest and you just want to buy a painting because in the next 10 years you want a return of the investment, then I would say it really doesn't matter if you buy it offline or online, because you will be just looking at the numbers. And it's better to focus on reviews, on some kind of predictions of the market, if there are any that you can trust. And then it's not about building a relation. It's just about putting your money when you really feel the value.
All right.
is.
Well, it's all clearer now to me, but it still seems like it's quite an exclusive world.
Yeah. Internet is trying to make it more inclusive, but it's still imitating very much what is happening offline. That's true.
Yeah. Well, I guess also, like galleries at some point will have to embrace the change and go more online as well. I don't know how yet, but I do have a feeling exactly that there is still some work to be done in this area. All right. Well, thank you so much, Marta, for being with us and telling all the interesting stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all for listening. You can follow us on Let the Tech Out on Instagram. Drop an email at lettechout@gmail.com.
And you can also follow us on LinkedIn.
That's the new one. That's the new kid on the block. We have a LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Thank you all so much. So do feel free to contact us and ask any questions or drop any other interesting topics you would like to hear about in our podcast.
And I hope you feel encouraged to explore some online or offline arts after our conversation and seek inclusivity in this world.
Yeah, just have fun with art. It can be fun. It can be really pleasant activity to simply be surrounded by art. You don't have to be a super phony and attend all of the crazy gala in super high profile galleries. You can have great fun with gallery right behind the corner.
Yeah, enjoy the aesthetic part or the comedy function of the art. So, once again, thank you all. Great hearing you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.